Are you ready for your interview? Well, if you're not, that is the moment where we're going to start getting ready for it. I'm going to divide this topic, interview preparation, in a few videos so you can really try to apply the things that I'm going to be bringing to you. I'm going to start, talking about what to expect, some types of questions, interview process, and then let's discuss some of the methodology, some questions to ask, and how to follow up with interviewers. Basically, this is probably one of the most anxious moments that candidates go through the interview process, which they get the phone call like you guys did all this hard work to get here, and then someone invites you to an interview. Some people freak out, some people don't know what to do. They don't really know how to introduce themselves, how to present themselves, and they feel very nervous about it. This is the right moment now for us to prep, to feel confident for when the moment comes, you know what to do. Obviously, there are a few things that you can do before, during, and after. But now, in this first video, I want to talk to you about what to expect. In Canada, specifically, there are the interview process. They usually take a little bit longer than Latin America in general, right? Things can change, obviously, depending of the company, depending of the urgency. But mainly, in a very standard mode, you can expect about 3 interviews. Usually, interview process goes from 3 to 4, but mainly 3. So first, they're gonna have an HR screening, or they call it screening interview or HR call. It can be named differently, but mainly it's a 15-minute conversation via phone. Usually they don't even have the video conference for that. Some companies do, but majority of them just pick up the phone and they call you. So don't get surprised if you're just walking and then suddenly your phone rings. So be be close to your phone, pick up the phone because people might call you. And they might just ask you some questions. Some of them will just be like, "Hey, this is XXX interviewer for this company. Do you have a few moments now?" If you're not prepared and if you really want to pay, attention and invest your time on this, say, "Hey, sorry, I'm in the middle of something. Can you call me back in 10 minutes, or can I call you, by the end of the day or tomorrow?" Then you schedule a call. Don't be afraid of pushing back. That's normal. People are just randomly calling you, so you should be okay to push back. But if you feel confident, if you feel ready, sure, why not have the conversation? In this conversation, what they call again HR conversation, HR meeting, or screening, they're basically going to try and understand if you actually meet some of the main requirements of the role. So they're going to go over the job description, whatever they think that is really important for that role, and they're going to ask you those questions. So how many years of experience do you have? What kind of roles are you looking for? Why do you want to work for this company? Tell me a little bit about yourself. So just very basic questions. You shouldn't be super worried about technical questions at this point. This is mainly to understand if whatever you have in your resume, it's actually right. They're basically going to be double checking the information from your resume and understanding if you do have what's required to move forward. They might be very interested in some areas of your experience. So for that reason, it's important for you to understand, what are the requirements of the role, so you're ready to speak about that. That will be your first interview. Your second interview usually is a technical interview. It's with someone that either is going to be your lead or a peer. So someone who really has the knowledge of the area and the industry, the type of role you're going to be doing. And this person is going to be testing your skills, your technical skills for that role. Does this person really know how to manage a project? Does this person really know how to develop an HR program? Does this person really know how to code XYZ language? Right? So though you can expect deep questions. This meeting usually takes 45 to 60 minutes. So that's a longer meeting. It's a longer interview, and it's usually via video or even in the office, if that's the case. For this meeting, you can even expect 2 people, right? At some point, you might have two people interviewing for a technical interview. And then finally, you have what we call closing interview, which it's basically just to ensure that you have the cultural fit, is to ensure that that you're gonna fit with the team, with the lead. If you have any further questions, if they want to have any further questions, they kind of like want to check it out. That's the opportunity for that, and usually it's 15 to 30 minutes. So don't be concerned if they schedule 30 minutes with you and end up being 15 minutes. Maybe they just got everything that they needed already. They don't need to spend more of your time, and they're ready to make a decision for either the good or the bad. So usually those are the three types of interviews that we see. However, there are many others that it can be included in that sense. So, for example, for consulting, you might get a case interview. So a case interview will be somewhere in between the technical and the close interview. And the case, usually they're gonna give you a situation. They're gonna ask you to solve the problem. They're usually gonna ask you to make a presentation, to bring how you would proceed and what will be your approach for that circumstance that they're giving you. And you're going to have to present to a board of usually two or more interviewers. So case interviews are very common, especially for roles that require a lot of presentation skills, client meetings, and stuff like that, like consulting, for example. There are startups, for example, it's another type of company that usually have case interviews. There are other sometimes group interviews. While this is not very common and often, that could happen. But mainly that will be the main three. So HR screening, technical interview, and close interview. And sometimes you would have that case prep and case interview. Some companies, they will give you the case ahead and they will send you a document so you can prepare and then go and present to them in the meeting. And some companies, they will give you the case during the meeting. They will give you some time in the meeting to think through, create your deck, do the calculations that you need to do, and then present the case to the board. So that's basically how a standard recruitment process happens in Canada. And usually, again, it can last anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks up to 3 months, right? Some depending of the scenario, of the level, and how crazy and desperate they are. But mainly, usually, it's 2 months of a process from the first time that you interviewed up to the day that you joined the company. You can think about a 2 month time frame. Because after you complete your interviews, you can expect to receive a job offer. They're going to call you. They're going to give you a job offer. You have time to review your job offer. And from there, they're going to run the background check. And then with the background check, then you're going to onboard in the company. So that's what you can expect in terms of interview process and interview questions for the first one, which is the HR screening. So very, basic questions about your skills, your experience, what makes you interested about that role, and just a little bit about yourself. So in the next videos, I'm going to talk a little bit about the methodology and how do you get prepared for those meetings.